Meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy, Unleash the Beast. And Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Keeley, you're the head coach. Lincoln Riley joins us now. Thanks so much, Coach. Our final show. Great to have you to cap it off, really, your show here on Trojans Live. We have a bowl game. We have a bowl game to talk about, USC Texas A&M. It's a ways away, coming up in the Vegas Bowl, but we were talking about it. It looks good on a marquee. I mean, two really proud programs set to square off.
Yeah, and get to finish right where we started this season.
Full circle.
So yeah, it is. It is. No, it will be. It'll be a fun game, an exciting atmosphere. This bowl's got a great reputation. Does a great job. Obviously, tremendous location. Great location for the Trojans. Obviously, expect to have a great following, great crowd, and really talented football team on the other side that had a very good year. And so our guys are excited about it. They are. It's this lead up is definitely very different this time around than it was 12 months ago. A lot of it's changed, especially we're not out recruiting right now, which normally you are these last few weeks or these kind of middle weeks of December, and so it's given us a chance to really get on the field a lot with the guys, get a lot of work in, build on how we close the season, and really a chance to build and take a lot of these young guys, these developmental guys, pump a lot of reps into them. You see some of the guys that have emerged. You think about like an Elijah Page, like last year at this time was just coming off the scout team, and we were watching him like, oh man, this guy's really improved, and obviously that was a precursor to him, playing well in the bowl game and earning a starting spot, and then there's just I think other guys that'll emerge throughout this period, and so no, it's a fun time. It'll be an exciting game to A&M when it gets here, but a lot of time in between to go to work.
Coach, big week, recruiting, portal, bowl announcements. I guess we start with some recruiting, I guess. Your recruiting class kind of highlighted by a big quarterback in Longstreet, a big defensive lineman in Stewart. Take us through the recruiting class, and what do you think about those two big guns maybe up front?
Yeah. Obviously, getting Hassan was I think a great thing for the program. We felt like the more we went through the process that this guy was the right leader and the right player for us in this class, and so couldn't be happier with how that played out. He made that a pretty easy decision for us, and so I think he's going to be a tremendous leader. Excited to get him here. You mentioned obviously Jakeem Stewart. One of the top defensive linemen in the country. That was a massive get.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. A guy is very talented. He's got a great mindset, loves this place, and was a competitive recruitment. And I think his relationships here and his desire to come be a part of this, that he really shared in the vision that we have for this place and wants to come do his part. So can't wait to get him here. Yeah, and I think the class as a whole. I mean, we really obviously we went heavy at DB, defensive back. We knew that was going to be critical with all the guys that were losing. Obviously, you got 7 guys running out of eligibility after this bowl game. So you knew replenishing that room some through the high school recruiting was going to be important, and I like what we did at DB. I really like what we did at D-line. O-line is always going to be a huge deal, and I think we continue to add some great pieces there. I think especially the tackle position was really bolstered with this class, which that was important. Getting Aaron Dunn and Vicona and some of those guys here at the end was very important. 3 receivers that we love, a couple backs that we love. So no, it's a good class. It's unique because each year you're kind of trying to figure out what do you need. What do you need from the high school ranks? Where are the areas that you got to go attack the portal? And now we're like kind of into rev share, but not completely. So it's funny. The recruiting here has been different, like each year as that needle continues to move. But excited about the class, and obviously there'll be a lot right now into making sure that we add the right guys from a portal perspective to help this team come together in the way we envision.
As you mentioned, the early signing period was 2 weeks earlier this season. How much did that impact what you had to do from a strategy perspective, from just spreading your resources as coaches?
Yeah, it was so different just because you're used to going and sitting in every one of these guys' homes or high schools and getting a chance to talk to them face to face about it at the end.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just don't have that, and it's like you're playing these games, and all of a sudden here's signing day. And obviously, we prepared for it. We had a lot of contact with the guys. We were able to get, a lot of guys out here, throughout the season, probably a little bit more aggressive with that than we've been in the past to help offset the fact that we wouldn't be able to have that time on the road. But yeah, I mean, it's you saw across the country, you saw more guys flipping, you saw more back and forth than ever before, and I think it's to be expected. I mean, it's been a trend by itself. Number one,
Yeah.
you add in all the financial components that obviously a lot of people are talking about and is discussed often. And then the fact that none of these coaches could go on the road and actually talk to you face to face, like there was going to be a lot of volatility, and I think everybody in the business felt like that was coming, and it certainly showed itself on signing day.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on Trojans Live. Where's your philosophy stand these days as everything is just constantly evolving in terms of guys to bring in your signing class as freshmen out of high school versus the portal? I mean, obviously you need both ultimately. But I'm just looking at it as especially in terms of the freshmen, the guys you're bringing out of high school. Is there pressure to have them make an instant impact because that you're not end up like developing a kid for somebody else? I mean, I know that other schools are talking about that as well. I'm just trying to figure out, sort of what the best strategy as you see it is at this point, because it is so tricky these days.
Yeah, it is, because it's like you have like deep down in your core what you want to be,
right?
Which I've said many times. Like, I want us to be a developmental program. I really want to rely on high school recruiting as much as we can. But you also you do have to adapt, right? You do have to adapt to the market. I mean, it's changed so much. I mean, the fact that we even call it a market now, but I mean, it is. And I mean, you're seeing, high school players that are overpriced in this market. You're seeing transfer players that are overpriced in this market. And the one thing a lot of people forget about, especially with this portal, is like the risk of guys, leaving, because for every successful story is for a guy that transfers from school A to school B, for every one successful one, there's 3 or 4 like train wrecks. And that's just kind of part of it right now. And so there's a risk associated with all this, and that's the one that the agents and a lot of people don't necessarily want to talk about. And so I think it'll be in some ways tough for head coaches and programs to like fully settle on a philosophy until all of this fully settles. Yeah. I mean, it's so much different than it even was last year at this time. I mean, in just about every way possible. And until some of these decisions happen, which a lot of those are obviously upcoming here quickly, we hope, it's going to continue to move. And I think, you're going to have just a lot of people that are trying to adapt each year with how this changes. And I think as long as you have that, you'll see the volatility that we've seen over the last few years with everyone. And we're all dealing with it. I mean, you talk to head coaches, all the peers I have, good friends in the business. I mean, everybody's dealing with the same stuff. Everybody's kind of trying to figure out what's the best route, how do we do it, and it's like right when you get settled in on something, then the mark kind of continues to move. And so, hopefully we can get this thing reeled in back a little bit in terms of just being able to add some structure for everybody, for the players, the schools, the coaches. It would benefit everybody right now.
Yeah, Coach, we've seen some names enter the portal on your team. What's your strategy as far as for those guys? Is that something where obviously you don't want to burn any bridges in this business, but guys who are here, do you open that door? Is it like, all right, good luck, see you later, or what's your strategy when it comes to that?
Yeah, everyone's different, and it's tough because we're still the college model. I mean, a lot of these guys we know well, so a decent amount of them, not all of them, but a decent amount we recruited.
Yeah.
But we're a college model that's becoming a professional model.
Yeah.
And I know some people don't want to say that, but it's here. Like it is what it is. And the reality is, like, there's just some guys that you either can't or not going to pay what they want, or you assess their value, and it does not. Just like, I mean, you guys have done the NFL thing. You've seen it. Like, I mean, it's if your value doesn't match the money, like, then it's not going to go well much longer, right? It's not going to go further. And that's just, there's a cutthroat part of that. That's just part of being a professional organization. And again, that's what we're becoming. And so, yeah, we're having to make some tough decisions. We're having to decide, where to allocate reps or where to allocate resources, roster spots, all of those things. You're getting ready to reduce the roster size. You're getting ready to have salary cap, essentially. I mean, like, that's what we're becoming. So you're going to see that. And sometimes, of all these transfers across the country, we're no different. You're going to see sometimes people that feel like, I got a better opportunity to go play at this place or that place. And sometimes more often than what people realize now, it's the school telling the kid, hey, we're sorry. Like this is what it is right now. And that's just that the business has really changed that way. But that's what we all are.
Given everything we just talked about, how do you go about roster construction from a character perspective, from a team chemistry perspective? Because there's so many variables these days. How do you do that?
There is, but there's still a lot of great guys out there. There's still a lot of the right people that are built the right way, for whatever you're trying to construct. And I think you got to do your best to sift through that, to bring in the right guys, to stay committed to the beliefs that you have, and no matter how good a player is or how excited you get when you watch the tape, it better match up in terms of what you bring in the locker room. And we all get faced with those decisions often, and you got to decide which side of the line that you're going to be on. And I think if you continue to bring in the right people, your culture is going to do nothing but thrive.
That is Lincoln Riley. Coach, we thank you as always. You sit down with us week after week here in the season. We really appreciate your time. You always give us really thoughtful answers, and thank you so much for that. We will talk to you in the post-game show after the game on December 27th, and then we'll see you in the spring.
So far away, man.
Yeah.
Coach, I'm going to miss you for a couple weeks.
No tears, guys.
I'll be there waiting on you.
All right, we got one more segment to come with Trojans Live.